Hello friends, so welcome to another video of Jetpack Compose tutorial series. So in the previous videos we have learned that how we can create a scrollable kind of layout where our elements, if they are not fitting in our screen, then we can scroll it. You can call it as a list view also, not recycler view but as a list view, where your elements aren't reusing themselves. The layouts are every element is creating a different set of layout for itself. So this is a like of a list view, or you can say a scroll view with a linear layout inside it in terms of Android, or you can say in terms of XML layouts. So you have seen that how you can create such kind of things with these 5 lines of code. So now uh, it's time that we should actually learn about using modifiers. So in this video I will tell you about modifiers, what they are and how we can use them, and what are all are the benefits and properties of modifiers. So let's get started. So first of all, in the previous example where we have a vertical column, that is a scrollable column, we have seen that we are able to scroll them. But if you have noticed, then what we are doing is we are actually scrolling it from this part where the text is actually written. But if we want to scroll it from this part, this white portion, then that isn't possible. This is happening because our scrollable column is actually taking a width of the maximum element, which is this much, I guess. So to check this, what you can do is you can apply a background color to this column. So you can easily check that how much width it is consuming. So now the question would arise, like how we can give it a background color. Should we use a surface and then we use a column over there and we provide a different color to that surface? Nah, that wouldn't work over here. So in these kind of scenarios, like in Android, we can actually provide a background to different set of widgets like a text view or a layout. So this is also a layout. So all the properties we can use in XML, we can use them over here too, like margin, padding and everything. So we are going to discuss that how we can use those properties. So for that, what we have to do is in these brackets, what we need to pass is we need to use the modifier like this. So I'm using the named parameter modifier. So here you need to define your modifier. So just type in modifier and remember that you shouldn't use modifier from java.lang or any other package, but you should use the modifier from android x.compose.ui package only. Okay, so just click over here, and then we are going to use the properties available in this modifier. So one of the properties, background property. So it is very much clear from the name itself that the background property is actually used for setting some background color or something like that. So here you can see it accepts color and a shape. So we, for the current time, we are going to use color. So just press enter and use the color equal to color dot, oh sorry, color dot. So these are some of the set of predefined colors, but if you want to use your custom color over here, what you can do is like in the first video I have shown you that in the color.kt file you can define any of the color. So you can simply use any of the variable over here, like I'm copying this variable and you can simply paste it over here, and alt enter will actually import it. So you can use any of the color over here. So there are also some predefined set of colors which are available over here, like you will just type color and you will be using a color from android x.compose.ui.graphics package, and simply these are the set of some predefined colors. So in our case we are using a defined color which we have defined over here. So now just run our application, and it is very much clear from this part that it should give a background color to this column. So yeah, you can see that it had given a background color to the column, and like I said previously, the column is actually taking the width of the maximum, or you can say the longest child, basically the child with the maximum width. So this is the way it is working. So the column is till this position only and not over here, so that's why I wasn't able to scroll. So now what if you want this column to be spread it to the whole width? Then there should be some kind of properties. So yeah, there is a property that is used to define particular height and width. So that property is this height and width property. So here you can define your width in dp's. Like in my case, let's define it as 100.dp, like this. So now what will happen is, so we are hard coding the width as 100. So even if the 100 dp is this much, then it will just draw this much layout and will cut all the other elements. Or if it is this much, then it will draw this much layout of this much width. Now let's run our application to see the actual results. So yeah, you can see that the width is reduced to 100 dp, and 100 dp for this screen size is this much only. So this is the way you can actually provide width, and even you can provide the height attribute over here. So other than that, you have this wrap content height, where it will automatically this is the default property. Basically, if you don't give any property, it will be the default property. So the layout will be drawn based on the largest or biggest child available. Okay. So other than that, what if you want this layout to spread to the whole width, to cover the whole width? Then basically we are talking a property which is equivalent to the XML property of match parent. So yeah, there is a property available, so that is fill max width. So what this property will do is, it will automatically fix the maximum width available. So now in our case, the maximum width available to this widget is the whole screen, the width of the whole screen, because this widget is direct child of our surface, and surface is actually this whole part. So this is the direct child, and it doesn't have any parent which can restrict its width or anything, so it can take the full width. So this widget should now span across whole width of the device. So let's run our application again, and we can see the output now. Yeah, so as you can see now, the column is spanned to the whole width, and now you can scroll it from anywhere you want, like this, from here, anywhere, because it is now covering the whole screen. So this is the way these properties works. So now one more thing, like this is a declarative UI pattern. Now I hope you understood that what declarative means. So declarative basically means, as you keep on defining, as you keep on declaring the properties, it will be drawn in that particular way to your screen. So now there is actually one thing I wanted to show you. So I am not going to explain it, but before explaining, I am going to show that how it works, and then I will explain you. Actually I am scrambling, so basically I am going to show you, then I am going to explain you. So first I will cut this fill max width from here, and I'll paste it over here. Okay, and now I'll again run our application. Yeah, like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it clickable. So making anything clickable in Jetpack Compose is pretty much easier. You just need to use this clickable attribute. So here you need to pass action, so we can just skip it using the curly braces. You can like if you want to show a dialogue or a toast, you can do it inside these curly braces. So I'm just leaving it blank. So now what it will do is, it will actually make whole layout clickable. Okay, so let's run our application again to see the desired results. Yeah, so now if I try to click over here, you can see this this kind of ripple effect. So this is coming because the whole layout now became clickable. So this is the way you can actually make a layout clickable. So this is pretty much cool and easy. And now what if you want this layout to have some margins from all of the sides? So I'm not talking about padding, but I'm actually talking about margins. So this layout should not start from edge to edge, but it should start from, like, say this point, like in this line, and this much margin from here, this much margin from bottom, and this much margin from left and right side. Or you can say a margin from just one direction, one side. So that can be done using a property called as padding. So this property is called as padding, not as margin, because there isn't a kind of property like margin in this. So everything is padding in Jetpack Compose. So we can define a padding. So padding accepts more than one value. So if you want same padding, or you can say the same margin from all the sides, you can use the all attribute. Or other than that, if you want padding to be just from left, right, or top or bottom or any side, you can define start, like start to be 10.dps if you want to keep distinct paddings from every side. And if you want to give the end padding, basically means the right side padding, to be like let's say 25.dps, and let's say the top padding to be 20.dp, and the bottom padding to be 0 5.dp, smallest one. Okay, so these are not mandatory. Even if you want to give a single value, it will not give you any error. So I'm just giving all the values to show you the difference. So now we will run the application again to see the actual output. Oh, so the padding isn't working. Oh, yeah. So this is what I wanted to actually show you. So um everything we define in Jetpack Compose actually stays the way we defined it. So this seems to be pretty confusing. So basically what happens is, like, if we are giving this padding property after defining the background, then this padding property will be applied on this layout after it gets a background color. But what we want to do is, we want that background color should be applied after getting the margins. So we can simply cut this property and we can paste it before applying the background color. Okay, so now what will happen is, it will first apply some padding, then it will apply the background color after setting all the paddings. So now in this case, after doing this particular change, these areas should be white, because the background is actually or white in our case, as we have seen. So this should work for us now. And let's run the application again. Yeah, as you can see the new output, as you can see over here, that we have all the margins, you can say, that we have defined over here. Start to be 10, end to be 25, top to be 20, and bottom to be 5. So this is the way it works. If I have defined this padding after setting the background color, then the background color will be set for the whole thing, and then the paddings will be applied. So this is the way you have to define everything accurately in the same, you can say, order. So in my order, the padding is defined at first place, then a background color. So a padding will be set it first to this particular UI element, and then only a background color is set to this UI element. So this is the way this whole thing works for modifiers. So you will have to keep this in mind before setting anything. So now what if you want to all of these elements to have some space in between them? So like in recycler views, you can define your decoration, item decoration over here, and you can have a spaced decoration where you can define some particular space, like a height of you can say 10 or 20, and all the items will be separated using that particular item decoration. So in this case of columns, what you can do is, you have a different property. So um, that isn't part of this modifier. So this is a different property, that is content padding. So as you can see that content padding actually accepts where it is, yeah, inner padding. So what we need to define is we need to define inner padding over here. So inner padding is similar to this padding. You can define start and top and bottom. So let me show you like this. So start will be, let's say 10 dp, and to be 10.dp. So these are about the content. So content is actually this item. Okay, so this hello user 1, hello user 2, hello user 3, all of these are contents. So this padding is applied to every item, every content. Okay, not just one single or anything. So this will be applied to every item of this you can say list or layout. So start and let's say top to be 10.dps, and we are not going to define bottom. So let's run this. We can actually define bottom, but I'm skipping that. So yeah, as you can see that now every item gets a margin from left, a margin from end wouldn't be shown because there is enough space, a margin from top to be 10, and now if I specify a margin from bottom, then the spaces will increase a bit more, like bottom to be, let's say 15.dps. So as you can see that the margins are increased a little bit from bottom side also. So this is the way it works. So one more thing, as you can see that on even on scrolling it is showing me the ripple effect because I have applied the clickable event to the whole column, not just a single item. So what I can do is I can cut this from here, and I can apply that event to anything, any of the widget, like over the texts also. So what all I need to do is I need to define the modifier over here like this. So modifier dot clickable like this, and now each of our item will become clickable rather than this whole layout. So now just run our application, and now you can see that if I try to click anywhere, it is not showing any ripple effect because the listener isn't working on the whole layout, but it will work only on the children's. So if I try to tap anywhere, so you can see the ripple effect, the clickable effect basically on every list item. Okay, so now one more thing, what if we want this list item to take the whole space? So like previously I have mentioned, we can use fill max width property. The same property can be applied over here like this dot fill max width, and we can simply run it. Yeah, so now it is actually covering the whole width. How you can verify that? You can try to click somewhere like here. So now you can see the ripple effect over the whole width rather than this particular layout. So now this means that our item is actually taking the whole available width. So this is the way it works. So that's all about our layouts, our modifier. So modifier have a number of set of more properties which we will learn as we move forward with upcoming videos. So we will see that how more properties can be useful for us, and we will know about something more about the different type of layouts, different type of UI elements available in Jetpack Compose, and we will see the alternative to recycler views also. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in next video. Bye bye, take care.